What is up, Moody?
What's up? What's up?
Um, I'll start with my Percy, and it's just pretty much what we just talked about before.
Mhm.
We actually just went live, but since now we're live, and no one's gonna be asking, but in the future, just to give our future audience, a heads up, your boy's under the weather. So that's my Percy. So pardon me. I'm gonna try my best to not be all up in the mic clearing my throat or sniff blowing, you'll see me having tissues and shit. So I'll probably try to try to mute myself appropriately. But yeah, your boy's under the weather. Nothing too serious. Just stuffy nose, runny nose, and none no NyQuil, Dayquil, and some drinking hydration and stuff to get me fixed up by the end of the weekend. So that's my Sunday Percy.
Yeah, we'll all work with you. I'll work with you, obviously. Get well soon, obviously. I had two. One of them is really like a half Percy, but
Yeah,
because I just thought it was NBA Media Day has came and gone all the interviews and stuff like that. All the pictures been taken,
yeah.
and our rookie Reed Shepard, he got this 1970s porn stash like out of nowhere. Like, so if you look at the picture, like you ain't got to put it up here, but I
uh,
just saw the picture and it just had me crack it up, and I was just like, all right, is that going to be the look for the whole year? I know he ain't about to rock
oh
that the
man.
whole year, but yeah, that was the
That's
first one.
it's like, yeah, it's kind of like classic, like I said, it's 70s porn stash, but also gonna be like, yo, like this dude played in the ABA.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's
You
like
know what
he
I'm
would be
saying?
a basketball player back in the '60s or the '50s, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
It's really
So
good. I like that. That's funny.
I can't wait to see. I hope like he fits that like classic style, like well, when they have like the NBA player like tunnel, like the fashion tunnel shots.
Yeah.
Like he'll just come through with some like suspenders, and I don't even know what they would wear back then, but whatever 1950s shit, that'd be funny as hell.
I bet you he cleans it up, maybe, and we're like trims it down because it's no different than what Jimmy Butler did last year.
Yeah,
Because remember in his media day, he came in with that emo goth look.
yeah, yeah. And
And
before that, he had the
these
dread extensions.
and these pictures are the ones that are used for the entire year. For, like,
Yeah,
their player profile. So, like, Jimmy Butler, like, the next day came in straight up normal, and it was just like, "Bro,
yeah.
what?" He's like, "Hey, yo." So, I could see him just, like, taking advantage of it and be like, "Yo, this is gonna be, like, my picture day, and you're gonna be using this in 2K and on all the graphics for whenever we play these games and stuff like that. Like, hey, let me be funny with it." You know? It's like remember on, like, NBC when they still do got the Sunday night. I don't know if they still do
Mhm.
it, but, when they do the player intros,
Yeah.
and it's like, and the best one is Tony Gonzalez. Was Tony
Yeah, yeah,
Gonzalez.
of
It's
course.
like,
Yeah, I'm Tony Gonzalez.
"Huh?
Or
Tony
when he did the
Gonzalez?"
Scarface one,
Yeah.
Tony
So,
Gonzalez,
like
University of Southern California. Okay.
yeah. So, like, that's where I'm like, "Alright, heck, have fun with it, man." Like, the season's about to start, and so this is stuff that's, it's just for having a good time.
Yeah. And my other Percy is, obviously we play D&D. What kind of like if you were to just make it real concise, because this is just Percy's, man, you got to get deep into it. What would
Yeah.
be like the next kind of story you would want to like find yourself in? Like, would you want to be high level? Like, what? I'm wondering what kind of grind you want to be on. I guess. Did you ever have a story in mind?
I
Like a style,
mean
like if it's a who done it, if it's a I don't know, like your pirates, because you can get so niche with
the
things.
whodunits are
Yeah,
fun. Like I said, like the who ran the last session last time? Was that Jay?
yeah, that was Jay.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
mine was
like
like, obviously
that
it's been months
story
since we
where we
played
went
it, but
into
yeah,
that town and like people were forgetting stuff and like things were just missing around and we had to like
yeah,
go into the
yeah,
sewers. That was a pretty dope storyline.
yeah. That was
You know what I'm
Jay.
saying? Like,
That was a
like
good one.
so that was pretty good. Anything like I guess if you get it to like Agatha Christie level, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You ever seen like Murder on the Orient Express?
I haven't seen it, but I know that's been one of those movies sitting on my list
Like
forever.
those
I've
Hercule
seen the
Poirot.
trailer.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
Hercule Poirot, you know, uh story kind of like, oh man, okay. We're just D&D characters just trying to like, poke 'em our way through this shit. So,
yeah.
But
All
no,
right, yeah,
yeah.
we'll keep that clue shit in mind. I'll see if I can come up with some clue shit.
Yeah, just any kind of mysteries, man, murder mystery, just,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I feel like
cr
mystery is like probably the most common, just because
crime,
it's
you know
like
what I'm saying?
it it gives you the
Noir.
most, yeah, the most chance to like actually dive into characters like the NPCs and
Yeah.
stuff and be like find out motives and stuff. So, but yeah, that was my other Percy. Thank you for the inspiration.
Alright,
But
alright.
yeah, let's get it started.
Let's get it started, and I'm slacking right now, so let me click the intro.
Doors opening. Step back to allow customers to exit.
The crowd not trying to spread any cold. Samson, up the hay.
Off the top row, French fried bro, Moody. This is the Wrestling Re-Up podcast.
Weekly stroll through the avenue.
Send us an email at the Wrestling Re-Up at gmail.com. Follow us on socials, Twitch, YouTube, everything.
Anything else, yeah. That's why I like just talking over the joint, because it's just like we rapping over a beat. Not
Yeah,
even
yeah,
rapping
I gotta
over a
get the
beat, but
timing
like,
down.
you had to end at the beat, and it's just like, I'm just about to I'm just about to talk over this beat just because it's just so fucking fly. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's why it's kind of smooth like that. Like, we should technically have a real intro, but we just two dudes just hopping on a podcast stream and just talking. So like, I think it kind of works out and brings some charm. So we gonna keep it
Oh
like
yeah. Wait, so this will be the Patreon, lost files. Like eventually these will get like, the super deep cut fans when we at episode
that.
400,
Oh
this will be at
yeah,
like 50 views, 60 views. People will come back and
yeah.
watch this bullshit. They'll be like, where
Yeah,
these niggas
they be
start
like,
off at?
"Man, y'all was in the
In
cut."
the trenches.
Yeah. Oh, man, but what's up, man? We are back, episode 13, another week of wrestling. We are in October. We started this, like, end of July? So we're, like, 3 months
Yep.
in, 4 months in, so, hey, consistency, man, consistency, and look at us. We got a pop-up this week. This is the first one in a while, and with that, I'm hoping that with these predictions, I can finally get my first win,
I'm sure you will.
or at least a tie.
This is a
At
hard
least a
one.
tie. At least a tie. But yeah, it is hard. I don't even know the full card right yet, but just even some of the matches off the top of my head, it's gonna be difficult. But let's get into the show, and let's start off with Monday, and we actually have some time travel news. What do I
Yeah,
call
yeah.
this? What do
Time
we have
jump
this week?
news.
Time jump news. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I actually put this in there wrong. I have that in there in September. That was supposed to be August. They actually just put the video up, but yeah, I only
Yeah,
put
I
this in
looked
because
because you actually had it as October, and I was like, you had it like October 8th,
oh
2024. I'm
yeah,
like, that didn't make
that
sense.
ain't
So I
happened
opened
yet.
up the
Yeah.
video clip, and then it was like September 28th, and that's why I switched the date. So that's all
Oh,
good.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was the day that they posted it. Was
Okay.
just recently, but it happened a month ago. I looked at Cage Match and
Mhm.
but yeah, Zilla Fatu won the Reality of Wrestling Championship back in August, late August, and it was
Yeah.
against Edgestone. If you didn't know, Reality Wrestling promotion that's owned by Booker T. He was involved in the match. Booker T's 60 years old. He looks fucking great
Yeah.
still. Dreads all the way down his back. Charmel is the queen that she is. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is I put this in here because obviously, like with the whole bloodline storyline, we deep cut wrestling fans are aware of like the expansive Anoa'i family outside of WWE. And I was always aware of Zilla, but I never like got a chance to watch one of his matches. And this was the first one I was able to watch all the way through. And I like his work. Honestly, this is the son of Umaga. You know that he has a giant Umaga, like it's him with his tongue out, like with the face
Yeah.
paint and everything, like he was on Raw, like right on his chest. It's fire as hell. Like it's a dope tattoo. Um, but yeah, he beat Edgestone with it was the very end of the match, Booker T gets involved. He's like just a heel owner of the promotion, like beating him down like every chance, Edgestone is like, distracting the ref, just classic stuff. But he uses, a modified version of just all Samoan moves. So like right before the end, it's a pop-up Samoan drop, right? And it's like, all
Yeah.
right, Uso splash. And immediately Uso splash, I'm like, okay, that's a 1, 2, 3. But he doesn't do it. And I'm like, all right, what is this? And I think this is the reason that I even put it on here because at least this is different. His finisher, like Edgestone is dazed, he's getting up, and he does the Umaga. Look at the thumb, like you think it's a Samoan spike, right? He bounces off the ropes and does what they called a super spike, which is just the Superman punch, but it's the spike to the throat, and that's his finisher. And I was like, I fuck with that. Like I really fuck with that. Like even though it's just that minor difference, I'm like, look at taking some Roman, your father. It's that simple. But yeah, it was a good match. My
Bloodline.
first reality of wrestling match I've ever even watched. So
I've seen
yeah.
clips, but yeah, I've seen clips, but not like, a show or anything like that, but like small clips because, again, Booker T and everything like that. I know there's a lot of connections with that. So, that's dope. That's dope. I heard possibly, not again, I heard it's not like I have any rumors or any gossip or anything like that, but I forget who said it. Maybe it was Peter Rosenberg? I forget who
Mhm.
I was listening to, but saying maybe we might see another Bloodline member debut this weekend.
Yeah. I think he's Hikuleo out in New Japan. I don't know what I think they said his name is rumored already. Like he's supposed to be in NXT, but I'm not sure. But yeah, that'd be cool. Either way, the bloodline we know it runs deep. So
Yeah.
oh, and Teddy Long. And last thing about the match, Teddy Long was at the very beginning because it was a surprise. Zilla wasn't even supposed to be the challenger; it was supposed to be somebody else, but he had COVID. So Zilla or Teddy Long is the one who introduces him. And also in the later bit of the match, like I said before, Booker T is fucking with Zilla, and the crowd is on Zilla's side, but he needs reinforcements. This is like a black owned company, and I'll just tell you, everybody involved is people of color or black wrestlers and stuff. Who do you think this reinforcement was that came in to run off Booker T and Sharmell?
The Boogeyman?
It was the Boogeyman. It was exactly the Boogeyman. That is, if you didn't watch it, that's great, man. That's
I
hey,
didn't.
because
I
that's such
didn't.
a
But
that's such a
like,
callback. But yeah,
yeah.
he didn't eat the
I
worms.
figured because I'm like, I
Yeah,
think the Boogeyman's from Houston. I think like,
yeah,
like he's a black man,
yep,
like I was
yep.
like,
All right, yeah.
eh,
Look at you. See, that's at least wrestling Jeopardy for 1,600. At least that might be a $2,000
yeah.
question for real.
I'm
But
proud of myself. I'm proud of
yeah, you should
myself.
be. You should be. But yeah, remember, even back on SmackDown, Sharmell hated Boogeyman. Like,
Yeah.
he was creepy as shit. But yeah, we can move on. But that was just interesting. We need to call. I'm gonna call that like I don't know, indie match of the week, or we need to come up with like gotta see it of the week or something. I don't know, but
All
just
right.
because it was out of
Yeah.
nowhere, you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
either way,
Dope. Dope. All right. Let's get into the flagship show. And this will be the last 3-hour Raw until January, believed. Until they go into Netflix. That who knows? But I'm pretty sure they're going back to 3 hours once they get to Netflix. But
yeah,
next week, for the first time in whew, like 13 years,
yeah.
12 years. Like we just
I
talked about
imagine.
it a couple weeks ago on like the book of wrestling. But like, yeah, we haven't had a 2-hour Raw in so long.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it'll be tighter. Once again, it's like
It's
we
SmackDown.
called it SmackDown. It's yeah, the boutique. So it'll be tighter, and I would like for if it goes to or once it goes to Netflix, I would hope that it's maybe like think of it slight run over still. I would call it like 2 hours 15, just because you're cutting out all the commercials and stuff, which that's like really the fill in gaps of like live television and stuff. So if they can keep, but I
I
would
think they're going 3 hours, man. Because I think SmackDown's
with
going to three. SmackDown's going to be 3 hours on Raw on USA.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's fine. I mean, I don't have an issue with it. I was just thinking if that I could imagine it being more streamlined, but I
Yeah.
guess that would be more of a live production, with less cuts. You know what I mean? Because you're still getting the same
It's
amount
the
of,
same show, man. It's the
content out
same
there.
show. It's the
Yeah.
same show. You know what I'm saying? Like they still wrestle and do stuff. So, anyways, let's get into what we liked on this show, and I'll start off because this is probably the highest thing we have rated on the show. At least I have rated for the
Yep.
entire week. But Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman, last monster standing match. I'll start with just the match itself before I finish the second part of my sentence, as you see in
Yeah,
the doc. But the match, I was very impressed because I just liked the pacing of it and how they went from moveset to moveset. There was parts where, especially when they got out the ring and they started like exploring, around the stage area.
yeah,
Um, they climbed up onto like, something, and then you saw the whole setup. There was like tables everywhere. So usually in the past, you would see they would kind of flirt with the moves a little bit. They would kind of tease one or the other. They just went
yeah.
ahead and did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I liked for most part of this match was that like the pacing of it was that yeah, these guys are just going at it. It's going back and forth. They're not teasing moves, like they're not teasing big spots. They're just going ahead and hitting them.
They're just doing it. Yeah,
Yeah. And they're just continuing on. So that was really dope. And then the ending, obviously, we talked about it last week because they kind of teased it
yeah. The ring break spot.
with the ring break spot. But it still looks great. You know what I'm saying? It's funny, there was a tell somebody, I think I heard on the one of the podcasts that I was listening to, that they didn't have the LED boards on the ringside,
Yeah,
which makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like for that spot to happen. And so that was dope. And to finish my point for why again it's top shelf, because my guy, the visionary, a revolutionary, Seth freaking Rollins returns and curb stomps Bronson Reed on the steps as he's about to get up. And then Braun Strowman gets up, wins 10 count. And I like how Seth was looking at Bronson Reed the entire time. So uh great match overall, and have my guy come back. That's why you get top shelf.
absolutely. This was absolutely the best thing that happened this whole week. Like without a doubt. Like for it to be building for weeks, even like just remember like starting back when they first brawled and that tsunami on top of the car that Braun took. And it's like, yo, Braun got smoke for him. He can take it. You were like, he should be dead, but I'm like, nah. If anybody can survive it, he can. And like they built this so well. And for it to, just coincide perfectly with, I mean, obviously it's planned, but like for Seth to come back, 2 months off, it's
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, he absolutely got to get his lick back. I mean, this man
he took 7
basically had Seth
tsunamis.
going through like kidney failure and shit.
Yeah,
like, like that was some great
he
selling,
was
by
the
the way. That
first. He
was
was
some
the
like,
first victim. He was the first victim. Now, my
oh, he was
question to you.
our truth got taken out. Remember?
Nah, that was Seth before him.
No, our truth got taken out, which is why he wasn't
Seth
around.
was before our truth.
All right, either way, it don't matter. The match was great, and the only spot I wanted to bring up because obviously the spot was of the match was obviously Seth coming back, but other than that, Braun Strowman flying through the air for the like because you never gonna see a
Oh yeah,
6'9", three hundred and
yeah,
eighty pound fly, and you need that many men. There was at least like a legit
yeah.
dozen at least, if not more, like to take that spot. And I remember I looked back at that over and over and over again, and I'm like. Bronson Reed
Terrifying.
was like off to the side a little bit more, so he didn't even get hit. It was just this poor security guard. I'm like, that guy that's crumpled underneath, he looked like Peter when he fall down the steps in Family Guy at the end of that shit. Like, I'm just squashed underneath Braun
It's funny
Strowman. But
because there
yeah,
was a moment when, like, Bronson Reed was getting up, he steps on one of the security dudes.
yeah, just
Like,
not giving a
he, like,
fuck.
steps over he steps on him to just, like, continue walking. I'm like, "Alright." I'm hoping he didn't put his weight on him.
Yeah,
But,
right.
what my one question to you is, do you think Braun Strowman feels some type of way that Seth interfered?
Um, I would say with their history, he would be justified to have some. Uh, however, I mean, I would believe that's water under the bridge. He's face now, so and Braun Strowman understood like the constraints of this match. You know what I'm saying?
But
Like
yeah,
he knew
but
that
he
this was
wanted
gonna
to
be
win, like,
hellacious.
it's
Of
like
course
the
he did.
monsters didn't really win, so they kinda have to run this back.
I mean, honestly, that was one of the knee jerk thoughts that I had was like, I didn't think that's was it too soon? I don't think it's too soon, but there's a conversation to be had that it could have been later that Seth comes back. That's all. Because I was thinking it was going to be a clean finish, honestly, while I was watching it.
I think they did a good job to as much as I don't like shenanigans to end a match and you wish you could be clean, I think this was done well. Where
Yeah,
I'm like, Seth has all the reason to come back and do what he did. It's a last man standing match at the end of the day, so it's not like it wasn't a clean finish still. You know what I'm saying? Like
exactly. Yeah, because of the
it's
constraints
still
of the match, it's
it's
still
still,
clean
you know what
by
I'm
the
saying?
rules. Hmm.
So it just so happens that like if Bronson and Braun Strowman really wanted to find out, he'd be like, yeah, we can't have nobody interfere in this match. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, we need to know once and for all. It's King Kong versus Godzilla. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, we need to figure out who wins this straight up, no interference. So, um, that's my top shelf. You had it at Primo.
yeah.
Reason
It
why you don't
was
have
the
it at top shelf?
um. Well, I guess, like I said, I guess it would be
Not
just
trying to force you,
maybe.
just trying to see the difference.
Yeah, it would just be what I just said earlier. It's just the fact that I was like, I would have preferred a clean match, and
Okay.
also there's a bit to Seth, you know, uh, being held off a little bit longer, because you easily, like, let's say Bronson Reed wins that match clean,
Hmm.
he's on to an IC title match, or something like that, and then have him interfere in the title match. I think that would make sense. But because Jay Uso would have no issue with that if Seth want to come in and stomp his head in, like, he'll take that. So
Okay. So let's continue. I'll go again because we have another difference on this on levels. I call this Xavier Woods Tough Night, and I have this as a primo. What do you call it?
uh mid with a skyrocketing arrow.
Okay. I mean, well, you have it called like Xavier Woods takes Ray's mask
Oh,
off.
oh yeah, just specifically. Yeah, that was crazy though. Yeah. The whole title I gave it, yeah, Xavier Woods taking Ray's mask off. Kofi gets him an IC title shot, but messes it up because he's a heel. And I think this just goes to our conversation of, like, all right, who's the heel in this situation? Because, like, both are justified. Both are absolutely justified. But, like, for Xavier to be there supporting Kofi, like, we've seen him do it 1,000 times, 1,000 times. And he never interferes actively in the match. He only acts
Hmm.
defensively. That's all they've ever done. That was a heel tactic.
Yeah.
He wanted to help his buddy out, which, he just shot himself in the foot, because had he not done that, Kofi would have hit him with Trouble in Paradise 1, 2, 3. At least it was going that way. And they definitely put that over on commentary. So it's like, with him, freaking out and, like, being like, yeah, he messed up. Yeah, he did. And I think that's one of the things that can, like, add, like, that's another brick stacking on his psyche, like, about how this shit ain't going right between them two. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when he tries to help, this shit ain't working.
Yeah. I mean, so it's funny. Like you say that he's a heel. I'm gonna start with the Ray because I say it's a tough night. Mostly on the Ray side of things because I think it was an accident. He didn't intentionally take that his mask off. If you watch that, it looked like it was an accident.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sure, I agree with that. I thought
Honestly,
you were
Ray
talking
was
about
like
interfering in
Ray
the
was
match.
like touching like his mask, and it looked like that's just like obviously to get the actual
We Yeah, we knew
thing,
the spot was, yeah.
the spot to go. But I think it was the way it came off. It looked accidental because even Xavier just went into the roll up and then was like, well, because again, it's still a fucking match. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The way I would equate it is, when an NFL player gets tackled by their hair, it's like
Hmm.
that's legal because that's part of your that's not technically part of your uniform, right? So it's like that's a tackleable thing. You can be dragged down by your hair. And it's like, hey, if your mask comes off and it leads you into getting into a pin, am I not to take the pin? And you could see in Xavier's face that he was just like, yo, wait, what just happened? So in that moment, I'm like, that looked like it was an accident, but you just gotta finish the match and continue on. I can't defend the second one. Like, why are you doing that? Like, why would you?
But
When do you ever grab somebody's leg? That's never a face thing. And so the thing is, maybe I'm trying to convince myself is again, uh, we'll get to this on the book of wrestling, but this is a week, an important week in the New Day's history. But but Xavier again wants to be a singles champion. Kofi was a singles champion, lost that title, and hasn't had an opportunity since. Are they breaking up, or is it something similar to where what's Johnny Gargano's wife, Candice LeRae, and Indy Hartwell,
yeah,
where Indy first started, Candice started first being heelish, but then really, and then Indy was kind of was wondering, was like, "Yo, what's happening?" Then they understand. It's like, "Hey, I think there is something going on with certain characters of Xavier, Miz, and maybe Kofi possibly soon, where it's like, hey, people are forgetting who we are.
hmm
We're not just like a an act just to get the crowd popped for the next guy. We are the guys. And I never had that opportunity. If I'm Xavier, I never had that opportunity. Kofi, you did. You was up there. We was with you. And you lost it, and you never got a chance back, and you've been happy, cool, just hey, I'm out here, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'll put on a good match, but like I'm not champion material. My time's passed. So I say it was a tough night in the sense that I think there's a lot of things that Xavier didn't want things to happen. Um, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens because who's to say if Kofi say if things worked out? I don't know what he was thinking, anyways. Throwing
Xavier.
his leg, yeah.
That's what I'm saying because
Kofi had the momentum, right? Like it's not like Johnny Gargano was, and he Irish whipped him into the rope. So why would you grab his leg?
yeah.
Ah, so I'll stop there. I'll let you continue.
Just the last bit I wanted to say about it is like, yeah, because I'd say race mask forgivable. Accident, you just take advantage of the situation. And he was unaware. Like you said, I completely
Yeah.
agree with that. And this is also just me being declarative with us being smart fans that I'm calling him a heel because obviously this is not a heel turn. I'm just saying for the discussion that we've been having over the last few weeks, I'm calling my shot now that it's Xavier. That's all.
Okay.
And that doesn't necessarily mean, like you said, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're breaking up. Maybe it just means he's the one like leading the charge and like, hey, we should do these things different. And the only other thing I wanted to say also was like what you said about Miz and Xavier, like them being like reminded that they used to be the guys and they're still the guys. They got Karrion Cross to thank for that, putting those thoughts in their head. So,
Look, Xavier was never the guy. The Miz was the guy. Kofi needs to be reminded that he
well,
was the guy.
yeah, yeah.
Again, it's like I think it is something to be like, yo, what's it to be in your 40s, right? What's to be the veteran in WWE, right? Natalia, Karrion Cross need to be talking to Natalia. If this is it, he need to be talking to Natalia. Get under her skin. What happened to the Heart Foundation? Like if that's the case, so um, let's talk about Miz.
Yeah.
We both have this as mids. I have it probably as mid rising. I'm sure you probably do as
Yep.
well.
hmm
Yeah, I'll let you start off. I've done a lot of talking.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we get the reunion of the Awesome Truth taking on AOP, and of course, poor our Truth, like our national treasure that he is, needs to be protected because this damn backstabbing Miz. As he goes for the tag in, Truth is already exhausted. Miz comes in and just boots him in the face and just leaves him. So, I mean, obviously, we know Truth is what, 55 years old? Like, he should be
Something like
used
that.
like sparingly anyway, because even though he's in great shape, protect all these guys, especially getting like that's you're a golden girl. You 55 and a wrestler still active in the ring. So, but my very next thought though was um Lord have mercy, Uncle Howdy for breaking up a family. You know what I'm saying? Have the Wyatt Six, and that's a huge squad. You know what I'm saying? But you got AOP and Karrion Cross, and I mean
Yeah.
Scarlett don't get in the ring, but Nikki Cross can at least scare her off. She'll
Yeah,
neutralize
she's
her at
in the
ringside.
ring. They were in a match together in that intergender
I
match.
just mean rarely. Yeah, well that's true. That's true. That was semi recent, but yeah. So if she interferes, yeah, she can take those bumps. So I'm like, okay, that's a nice faction setup maybe for the future. But that was just my first thought because I was just like, that damn Miz. Because I'm like, all right, so are you just chilling with them now? Is Miz like part of Final Testament?
No, I mean, again,
Yeah,
I think it's the same thing with Xavier. I'm not gonna mess with you, but I'm going to
he's just a
get
chaos
back.
agent.
I'm telling. I can't wait till next week
Hmm.
because I guarantee you, Miz is gonna come out, get a lot of boos. He's gonna put
Yeah,
his hand up, and he's gonna say it, and we gonna love it.
yeah,
When my hands goes up, your mouths go shut. And it's just like, yo, Miz
yeah. That's
is
his
gonna
best deal
get
line.
back. Miz is gonna get back to his like, his prime. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
we about
yeah,
to get back on. You know what I'm saying? This Netflix, you gotta get people back into their groove. You know what I'm saying? Especially some people
hmm
like Miz. You know what I'm saying? There's ways to be ambassadors, but now you're getting off of cable and you're going to streaming exclusively. And one of your best talkers, we like, what I'm saying we talk about MJF, but we know the work Miz can do.
yeah,
But like, obviously, Miz has to be neutered a little bit because of who he is at this point in his career as like an ambassador for the most part. But again, if we're just talking about character and him fighting for a WWE title, which is viable.
yeah. You just
I
need to
mean,
position him there. That's all.
Miz versus Gunther, that'd be an interesting matchup.
I can see that for sure. I
So
don't think he wins that match, but you can position him there for sure.
Miz is what, two-time champion? He ain't no slouch.
Yeah, I agree. But
Anything can happen. But
yeah, you're right. But look out for them. Look out for Miz, like you said, next week.
yeah, next week I think
Um,
Miz is definitely gonna have a good segment.
yeah. I got Gunther shitting on Sammy, but he cracks. Sammy finally cracks Gunther, and he gets his world title match. That's why at
Yeah,
first I put that on the Notion doc because I thought that was happening.
yeah.
I was like, wait, is that now? So we need to check the card still, but
I don't think that's happening this weekend.
yeah, I don't think that's this weekend. So it's just in the future. But
Yeah,
um,
I had that in my shake.
yeah, it was
Uh,
just the fact that we finally got it there. I mean, we knew it was going, so it's like
yeah,
I guess you gotta wear him down. That was like what we were doing the last month, like
yeah.
just digging at his ego because we know that Sammy's right because he beat him and he can't stand that, and he finally let it out that like his father asked him, "Why did I fly all the way here for you to lose to a bum?" And I was just like, "Dang, that's crazy." Because I was like, even that does sound even realistic for the character. Because I'm like, you could just think of that as like a tough basketball dad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Boy, what we put these hours in for? You gonna go out there? You came up with 3 assists? That's it? Like, you know what I'm saying? I could say that so easy. Like, so, but he stood tall. That title and a power bomb later. You know what I'm saying? So,
This is it's an alright story. I just don't care for it. Like
yeah.
like the whole thing. I'm like, man, like this is just. I'm just not trying to see a resilient Sammy match.
Hmm.
I'm just not trying to see that.
because you know how it's
And
gonna go.
we know how it's
Yeah.
gonna go. Like
Yeah.
what are we doing here? Like I get the point of him getting a match, but it's just like, bro, like and then to just each week just come out and just beg for a match to the point you have to just use Christian tactics. Guy, come on, bro. You lucky you and Shake. You lucky you and Shake.
I hear you on that.
Um,
Uh, we down to shake now? I was gonna say, unfortunately,
I have a Reggie, but it's not that big of a Reggie. It's more
yeah,
it's a small thing within your Shake.
okay,
But I'll bring it up to kind of tee you off for your Shake. So my
go ahead.
Reggie goes to the title of my Reggie, Adam Pierce. And Adam Pierce, and specifically the security, quote unquote, security that he hired for the segment between Punk and Drew McIntyre inside the Hell in a Cell. Them dudes ain't securing nothing. They was so into the promo. Like, could you see their faces? They was just like they looked like fans just like, oh, word, Drew. They looked like Drew was. They looked like he was cutting the pro. They were looking like Drew and CM Punk were cutting promos on them. And they were like, oh my god, like they were
it's
so
fu-
into it.
it's funny because I did notice. I was like, there's a few of these faces that are like a little too in frame. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, why do I see this guy's face? So I definitely noticed it. And I was like, yo, straighten up. I definitely was thinking that. So yeah, they
so,
wasn't. Yeah, they wasn't on their job at all.
so
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
my
It's like being
Reggie.
concert security. You know what I mean? It's like,
Man,
yo, you
Adam
got.
Pierce. I don't know where he found these dudes. Where did he find these dudes? These dudes are like the worst security.
Hey, they probably, privately owned. It's probably Securitas, like every single like corporate building you can imagine. Like that's all they doing. They ain't putting hands on
Nah, this is
nobody.
Securitas intern department or some shit.
Yeah,
Niggas,
that's what they are. But
they
yeah, I
they
mean,
are.
I didn't have too much to add to it because it's like it's in shake because we said it last week. We just need to see the match at
Yeah,
this point. The
same here.
promo is the promo is the promo. You know what I mean? So we've been there, done that. Even just to jump to my other shake, we continue to have obviously the Judgment Day and Terror Twins issues, and we were told that Finn Balor had travel issues, but of course, whenever they say that, it's just a setup for somebody to like actually just come back later that night, which is exactly what happens.
Yeah,
And this was as good as Finn Balor has looked like in his rivalry with Damian, straight up, even though obviously the whole Judgment Day helped him, but he gives him like 3 coup de grace, and I'm just like, damn, yeah, that's gonna smart. Even though you're a bigger guy, that you gonna feel that tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I like that he had to, or not that he had to, but he did that many. You know what I'm saying? Because he's still the smaller
yeah.
guy. So
I thought that too. Yeah, I like that. I think he's gonna come up. Damien's gonna walk out with some like taped up ribs or something like that
exactly,
for the match.
exactly.
So that was fun. That was fun. I will say before we get into the last bit of news that came out on out of Raw. I think what is going to be consistent, and this is just my theory, with go home shows,
Mm,
specifically for Raw and SmackDown, the non pay per view stuff, the non PLE stuff, is always going to be better.
yeah,
So if you look at what we have here listed, most of it is you know stuff that is not on the PLE, right? It's the Braun and Bronson, it's the Xavier stuff, it's the Miz
yeah.
our Truth. Uh, and all the stuff that was is like, all right, yeah, we just waiting for the PLE, so there's nothing else you can do. So it's probably just gonna be Shake. So
Well, that's a good theory to have. Just even looking at it, like you said, that lines up perfectly, just the way you
yeah, I don't
described
know
it.
what
Because
you
it's
have
like,
for I don't know what you have for SmackDown, but I feel like it might be the same.
yeah, basically,
Yeah. Last
except for
bit of
one.
Shake. Yeah, last bit of Shake. It's not really Shake. We could call it news, but it was announced Ilya Dragunov has a torn ACL and will be out like 6 to 8 months.
Yep,
Very
unfortunate.
unfortunate.
Yep, and a house match with Gunther. And the only reason I knew that is because I listened to the Masked Man show, and
Yeah.
they brought it up that they thought that Gunther as a character, probably would have put it over because they do acknowledge house shows still somewhat. So it's like, he could have just even bragged a little bit more about how he's a dangerous man and just took out Ilya Dragunov 2 days ago, while everybody was comfy in their beds or something. But it's unfortunate. Hope to see him back, sooner than later. Hopefully he's a freak of nature, like, Adrian Peterson when he came back, tore his knee to shreds and like won the MVP that year.
Yeah. Hey,
So
maybe, especially knowing that he hurt his knee against Gunther. That's a title shot. Sounds like to me.
exactly. Exactly. And that's why I wanted to set up because it's like immediately that's going to go in their promo video. Is the first thing that you probably going to see is the injury, and the next thing would be Gunther. What would have been this past Monday on Raw, being like, "I took out Ilya Dragunov,"
Yeah.
but I agree, it's definitely a title shot. He's brought it up before, so it exists in kayfabe backstage. He's like he's one of the two men who's pinned Gunther since he's been on the main roster. So
Hey, I want to call this out because I noticed this on a couple of the programs this week. They are showing they're crediting executive producers at the end of the show.
yeah,
That's interesting. It's a change.
yes, yeah. I noticed as well, and it is a
Um
change. What do you think
I'm
that
curious.
means?
So the reason that is interesting is because I think it opens up an avenue to get nominated for awards
Hmm.
and for primetime Emmys and whatnot. Because that's the one thing that's always held back the WWE, is that their shows don't show any credits. They just show that little, bottom tagline to show you the show's over. And now they're
Yeah,
only just showing executive producers. I think they would need to actually show a full credit roll. And the thing is the writers would need to be part of the Screenwriters Guild and things of that nature. So it's just much more beyond just having that stuff. But if you want to be recognized, if you want to say Paul Heyman deserves an Emmy,
that's the way you do it.
if
Yep,
you
start
feel
rolling
like you're
this.
producing, if you feel like your competition is not AEW and is television as a whole, it's something Vince wouldn't do.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
that again, it's an interesting thing to see that happen because even WCW back in the days, they would show credits
Hmm. I didn't know that.
because yeah, like if you see some of their shows, I don't know how long they did it, but they used to be a scroll of like credits. I'm like, oh, that's pretty dope, like cameraman and
Yeah,
all that stuff. So again, I think there's a reasoning behind it, and I think it might have to be having to do with being eligible for awards.
yeah. That would be fascinating because immediately just hearing you say that, I'm like, then we can actually understand seasons. Because like I would go with seasons in my head as like starting and ending with WrestleMania. But then
Yeah,
you could see like, just like the names on like a movie poster, you're gonna have the big names. So like for this season, we're gonna have those big names of like, oh, starring Cody, Roman, and there will be like, maybe like 6 or 7 of those, and then you'll have all the rest. And then you
yeah.
could see that change throughout the years and stuff like that, but that just
It could
came
have,
to my
yeah.
mind.
Imagine
That's
winning an
interesting.
Emmy. Imagine if they were got an Emmy for like the Cody storyline.
Yeah, right.
But I'm just spitballing here. I have no knowledge, but that's to my thinking is there would have to be a lot of motion. That'd be a big switch to have WWE basically have their writers unionized or at least
Hmm.
join a union in that sense. That'd be a very big difference. So
Yeah, for sure.
especially a company that's owned by Endeavor and has people like Dana White in there. I'm pretty sure they're not a fan of unions.
Right.
Either way, let's move on to NXT, the Bodega. Um, it is the first NXT on the CW, and it was
Yep.
live in a real stadium.
NXT Platinum. I think that's what we should be calling it now because 2.0, we know it had that rainbow look. We know what black and gold was. And I'm like, silver. I mean, gold is already better than silver. So that's where I was like, we can't just call it silver. I'm going to call it platinum. I like it. And the championship belts are nice too. So new era, new title belts. Shawn Michaels opened it up.
Did they change logos and stuff like that? Or
Yeah, they changed. Yeah, the logo changed. The coloring changed. They changed the title belts. All that. That's what that little promo Shawn Michaels did at the beginning.
oh, okay.
Yeah, and Triple H was there. Did the whole "Are you ready" for the
I
new
saw
era,
that part.
basically.
I saw that part. I
Hmm.
guess I missed the beginning part of that. So,
Yep.
all right. Yeah, let's go through. What did you? I'll let you start off with the primos.
Ah, definitely the Jade return. I did not like helping Roxanne. I did not foresee that. Um, because yeah, they have a long history, and we got to remember that most famous betrayal spot between those two is Cora turning on Roxanne, and that's what catapults Roxanne, to be who she is now. And she's like learned along the way, which is why she's more vicious and all that stuff, and two-time champion. So definitely not expected for it to be her or any interference in the match at all. So um, my next thought was like with this show, I'm glad that it wasn't a PLE because I'm like, oh yeah, I would have got both of these wrong. Because I
Yeah.
had because I also had Ethan Page retaining and I had Julia winning. So I'm like, yep, well, I'm glad I didn't do that. But great match. Yeah, that was the story for me, was obviously the ending.
Yeah, I mean, I had both of these matches. Well, we talking about Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez first.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that one, that was a good match. That was a great match. And then yeah, the surprise ending. I first thought just by looking at the shoes when she kind of ran in, I was like, oh, is that Chelsea Green?
Mm,
Trying to get a look back on Julia. Um, but no, Cora Jade, and you're more familiar with like the history between them, so I'm like, all right, cool. Like it makes sense because again, this is TV still. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
not like it's a stain on Julia at all. It just gives her an out, and it gives her a feud to kind of have to go with against Cora Jade. I don't think Cora Jade is necessarily helping Roxanne Perez in this situation. I would say more so she wants the spot. She wants the title shot. She wants to take the
yeah,
title off of Roxanne, basically.
yeah, yeah.
And
Like
so,
everybody should be shooting for the title, so that makes sense.
yeah. So, in theory, she should be now interfering in Stephanie Vakira's match when she has that with Roxanne. So, either way, that was a fun way to start off the show, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Uh, last thing I wanted to say about that was just, yeah, it does protect Julia.
Hmm.
I just think, um, I don't know. I don't want to beat a dead horse. I guess once again, I just thought it was going to be a clean match. That's all. Because I even if
TV,
it
man.
was, yeah, yeah, of course, we're fans. And I mean, we don't write it as good as Sean. We write it as good as Tony. But Triple H and Sean got us, so
I mean,
I'm willing to accept that.
I mean, I'm not even gonna say that because again, the same thing happened on AEW. It's
Yeah,
TV. You can't be
yeah,
given
yeah,
this shit for free.
yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know what people expect. Like, and honestly, once you saw Roxanne Perez retain, and of course she's gonna retain. She's the champ. Like again, you're not gonna have new people just come into your building and win. On a
Hmm.
very rare occasion that might happen, that ain't happening tonight. You got your title change with Trick Williams, which was our
Hmm.
other primo for the show, beating Ethan Page. And that one now with the 2020 hindsight makes sense why he lost that title a few months ago just for this night.
Yeah,
Because with this match happening in that stadium rather than just the performance center, it's the first show on CW, cable television, not cable, network television. Um, Hearing the fans, yell out "whoop that trick" to his music and rhythm and stuff like that, filling up the stadium, not just a performance center, and him winning that title, it just shows you that's like, oh, okay, this is the guy for NXT. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So for that in itself, I mean, you probably just in that self, I guess that'd be the whole package. I would put that in the top shelf. But I think it played out well, so I'll just kind of keep it in primo. But I think that was it was a well done match. And it made Trick look like the face of a show for on its debut on a network. So that was dope. Primo.
yeah, absolutely. And that's basically what Trick's run has been this year. Also, has been like getting that baton or getting that torch passed to him, like with finishing his feud with Carmelo Hayes at the top of the year and winning the NXT Championship off of Ilya Dragunov before he was called up. And like you said, now we understand 2020 hindsight. It's like, okay, yeah, he just had to have this adversity arc for the reset of, the new, in an aspect, new season of NXT, or
I
new
don't even call it
era of
adversity. It was
NXT.
just like we just need to have this moment.
Yeah, okay. But the other
Like,
part of this match, the subtext of this match also, which is the easily the congratulations you played yourself, is Ethan Page, delivering a GTS to Trick Williams, like facing off with CM Punk, like he's not the ref in this situation. Focus on your opponent, and maybe you would still be the champion. So you played yourself.
huh. Um, anything else on our primos that we want to talk about?
Nope, nope, that's it for me.
We got two different mids for the show.
Hmm.
I'll start with mine because mine is pretty quick. I'll go. Fatal Influence beating Lola Vice and Jada Parker because they can't coexist. And I keep this as mid rising because I like that how that played out.
Hmm.
Um, and it goes back to the question: is Jada Parker a face or a heel? And in this case, I'm like, all right, I think you were a little short with her. No pun intended, but I think she was like, she could have been a little bit more patient as a tag team partner. She turned around at a very inconvenient time. Did
Yeah,
not like see her tag partner trying to reach out for a tag. And
yeah,
so I do it keeps me intrigued and for the Lola Vice Jada Parker matchup more so than the Fatal Influence winning. Um but again, I'm curious to see where like Jada Parker's personality balance.
yeah.
Where she lands on the personality spectrum, whether she's a full on heel, anti-hero, is she turning face? I'm still curious to see where they're trying to fit her in.
Yeah, I would say that's like probably like you said, the most intriguing thing about her because she probably is the most anti-hero, like 50-50, at least so we've seen up to this point where we're not sure exactly what she is.
But she
Because
started as like naturally as a heel, but like people
yeah,
like her. And so I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
are they I'm trying to it feels like they're doing something with her, which I'm trying to
Hmm.
figure out where it's at. That's why I'm intrigued.
Yeah, yeah. Gotta feel out the character. So I was just because clearly between Lola Vice and her, Lola Vice is way more face than Jada
Yeah.
Parker. Like I would say Lola Vice is more so a natural face than a heel versus
Mhm.
Jada Parker. She just has that presentation. Um, but yeah, like I said, it was an inopportune time, and like it happens during a match, yo. Like it's dynamic. You got four women in there, and for you to like, you have no. There was a 0% chance that something happened where your teammate was knocked into you. Like we don't see that all the time. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I think you just put it well. Yeah, she was short. That's the nice way of putting it. I think she was being bitchy. Like that was just like unnecessary. Like you can. She was saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Like in the middle, like before she really walked out on her, she was like,
Yeah.
Lola was like, I'm sorry, like help me out. And she was like, no, fuck that. And I was like, all right. So we just deaf. Okay. I don't like how you did that. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Uh for my mids, this would be a mid stable because it's a period at the end, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Is Wesley versus Zachary Wentz in their street fight. With Wesley going over. I did like the ending of it. The Meteora or chained Meteora to the face. I was like, yeah, that should put you down. I mean, 'cause especially with them being like the battle of the cruiserweights, this is like way more physical than I was expecting spots wise. So I enjoyed it a lot, and I was like,
I
okay,
thought the
we're
wrapping the
done. We're
chains
done,
around
right?
his leg was like, it was a little like, bro,
Yeah. No, I had that feeling too. It's definitely cheesy and like push the I believe button, but it's like in my head because this is just where I go. I just think of it as the video game. It's like all he did was just equip. Chains. Like you just imagine it's perfectly wound. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It's perfectly where it's supposed to be, and it has the impact it's supposed to have to like double it. You know what I mean? So
sure.
yeah, that's what we just got to go with.
Oh yeah, it was a cool match. It was a cool match. I'm still the the buy Wesley as a heel.
Yeah, that's what this was
Does the
for.
did the black
That's
tank
what
top
this whole
did the
thing was.
black tank top making me heel? Did
Well,
he feel like he was bad?
no, I don't. Like I don't feel like he was bad. Like I'm you're just talking about the believability spectrum. That's like I think the match happened the way that it was supposed to. I'm glad that he won, and obviously this is a character defining moment. So we know he's a heel. That's true going forward.
Yeah. Who's
I
bad?
gotta I gotta see what is
Doom,
he gonna
doom,
do.
doom,
I gotta
doom, doom.
see who's the next face that he's gonna like really take out, because that's the thing about being a smaller guy or a high flyer is that
Gonna
you're
take
always
out
fighting
the
from.
other dude.
No, he said he's done with them. He's done with the Rascals.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where I'm thinking he's back on NXT now. All right, so who's the next guy you want to see Wesley go up against? Obviously, it's got to be a face. He ain't seeing
Tony
nobody in no quarter catch crew because they're a crew.
Tony
Um,
D'Angelo.
he ain't even in that class.
He gonna make
I mean, I
himself.
guess that makes it,
He
makes
gonna make
sense just
himself.
because actually, yeah, he's a former North American champion, so I'm tripping even saying that.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not like he hasn't held that belt, so that is the division that he's in. But yeah, I don't see it. But either way, that's all I had for that. Did you have any other thoughts about the street fight?
Not.
Yeah, for my shake, I had the return of Ms. TV, which he got resounding boos immediately. I definitely clocked that because obviously the day before turning on our
Yeah.
truth. So I was glad NXT the continuity is there, obviously. But Obafemi and Tony D'Angelo had their face-off interview, I guess. And basically Obafemi just telling Tony D'Angelo, "You're broken. I've seen you. You walked out of the ring before. You can't deal with this," basically. And it's really great, like storytelling of like how dominant they are making Obafemi, because this isn't the first person. I mean, obviously, Wesley, he's the one who sent Wesley down his like spiral into becoming a heel. And just this whole concept of him constantly saying, "I'm the mountain that you can't climb," stuff like that. Especially with Tony D'Angelo, a guy who actually is in his weight class and is way more believable coming to blows with him. Uh, I really like the storytelling of like, okay, like this guy is still on another level from me. Like there's another gear I got to get to as Tony D'Angelo if I'm really
Yeah.
going to win this title. So that's why I really like it.
It's gonna be a good match. It's gonna be a good match. When's their next pop up?
It's this question all the time. I need to just open that window like from now on
Yeah.
when we come in here. Just have the pay-per-view schedule up, but I'm not sure right now.
Did you have any more thoughts on at the bodega?
No, that's it for me.
That is it for me as well. Look at us making some good time getting to Wednesday like at an hour.
Right?
Um,
As far No,
go
I don't
ahead.
want to hold us up. Go ahead. Nope,
No,
nope.
go
Go
ahead. Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna just bringing up time. I was gonna be like, yep, because I definitely clocked that we were still ended Raw at 45 minutes. I'm like, damn, that's usual time. I clocked that. Yeah, go ahead with your current event though.
Yeah, current event AEW and Warner Discovery new deal is official. Um, AEW has officially signed a new multi-year multimedia rights deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. This deal is valued to be upwards of $150 million per year when all elements are taken into account. Dynamite and Collision will be remain on TBS and TNT respectively for the first time. AEW programming will stream live on Max simultaneously for US subscribers and will be available to stream on demand starting in January 2025. AEW live pay-per-views will be available on Max later in 2025 at a discounted price per event. So big news, big news. You know me, I like to talk about media rights and who owns what and what's happening in that landscape. So this fits up my alley, but
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
it fits up in the wrestling news. So what are your thoughts?
Uh, more money, more money, more money. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's just evidence of the strength, or yeah, the strength of just the wrestling industry as a whole. Because yeah, granted, AEW has deep pockets with from the Khan family and like taking like losses year after year, but it's like, hey, you put in the grind, it's gonna pay off, right? And it's just crazy to think of it on like the hundreds of millions and billions of dollar scale. You know what I mean? Like clearly this has just been an investment. But yeah, it's come quite along quite it's come along quite well. That's what I was trying to say. From the beginnings of AEW. And honestly, just the last sentence, the AEW live pay-per-views being available on Max in 2025, I think that's the ticket right there. Because granted, I still haven't seen any like seen any of AEW's pay-per-views live. You know what I'm saying? Paying for them at this point. So just the fact that they'll be coming to Max, all the better for me. I'll actually be able to watch it.
I mean, depending on what that price rate is. I mean, they say at a discounted rate. It's funny because you could buy like they have UFC on like ESPN Plus,
Mhm.
so you could buy like UFC 307 this weekend for like $80 or whatever, and it's like, geez, it's still so damn expensive.
True.
But I mean, if you're selling pay per views, what's AEW run pay per views run for? Like $60, $50?
60? That would be my guess. $60, yeah.
If you're able to get them for like 30, that's not bad. I wonder what the
Hmm.
discounted rate is at, but nonetheless, I think this is good for both sides. Obviously, AEW allows it to have a continued partnership with, having distribution rights of their, television product and whatnot to have on TBS and TNT. It's great that it's actually going to be on streaming now, so you don't have to watch it on the clock. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
having that library accessible for people to just kind of browse. I wonder. Well, they have collections under Max, so it's not gonna have its own section. But we've talked about this before with Warner, and they're losing the NBA, or they're going to
Hmm.
be losing the NBA after this following season. Um, they needed this. They need something of
Yeah.
live sports entertainment of some
Yeah.
sort because losing the basketball is pretty big. And David Zasloff made a dumb comment saying that we'd be fine without it, and he tried to backtrack out of it. So, um,
Yeah.
both sides needed it. Again, I hope AEW doesn't feel like the pressure from Warner Discovery because Warner Discovery is in a bad place. That forces AEW to take on more than they should. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like just because a Warner has the time slots, don't mean you need to take every goddamn time slot.
Hmm. Just put out a quality product. Just keep it consistent,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and keep building on.
Your
Yeah.
problems are not Warner Discovery's problems, right? You
Yeah.
shouldn't be there begging at their will to just take up whatever time slots that they have because they're struggling. You know what I'm saying? So, not saying that you need to be terrible partners, just saying that like this is a different situation where WCW was owned by Turner. And so, like, they didn't see any value they could sell that. It's like, nah, you are giving your television rights to be distributed onto their platforms. And so that's the agreement that you have. Just meet your ratings. And, if you find there is valuable time slots to be taken, take it. But Warner's gonna be looking for a lot of live coverage of sports and things of that nature. So it's gonna be interesting. I'm more interested to see how, from the Warner's perspective, than I am AEW. AEW, this is good. The only thing I would wish for AEW is for them to have something similar to WWE, where they had with Peacock, where it was like,
Yeah.
if you want to make money for AEW, it's like, can we, I guess, upcharge the AEW subscription,
Or like make the add-on, like like
like
all
it,
the
like an add-on.
Prime
Yeah,
has
it's kind of like an
do a
add-on.
7.99 add-on. Yeah, 7.99 add-on for AEW content to get
But I
that
think
tab
there's an
up.
advantage to have everybody to have access to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So either way, it's just more eyeballs on wrestling, and now that they have it on demand, that's even better for them. And so that's a big news coming out on Wednesday for them, and then they follow that up with their 5th-year anniversary Dynamite.
Facts.
Uh, big show, a lot of great matches. Uh, we'll kind of start off with I guess what we agree on, Primo. And that is Danielson beating Okada. And
Yeah.
with the weird stipulation where it's champion versus champion, but Okada's championship was only defended for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But
Ridiculous.
Danielson did not beat Okada within the first 20 minutes, and he retained his title. So, all in all, we came out with the same outcome. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, just hearing it like initially is like, okay, so we just know that this is a 30-minute match.
Yeah.
Like that's all that it's telling us, like, because that was just the silliest. Just hearing because that's such a long stipulation readout,
Yeah.
like you know what I mean, for fans to even understand. But like, and that doesn't take away from the action. The action was absolutely awesome. Like the Rainmaker is one of the most protected finishers, and with them, like it just gave me like the chills of like when you just got these two great like icons going against each other, whether it's like Rock, Stone Cold, where like just the trading of finishers, between awesome, believable guys in an awesome match is like, oh shit, that's always like the worst thing you can do. I always believe that's like double damage because it's psychic damage. You know what I mean? It does it to your ego that you're about to like lose to your own move. So um yeah, for it to be a win with the backslide, that's fine. Like I said, we're just protecting these guys because it was really more so about the angle afterwards and forwarding
Yeah.
the new look, Blackpool Combat Club beating down Danielson or attempting to, and Wheeler Yuta coming in for the save, with the hammer. So but I enjoyed all of it. Well, great match, great match, great match.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole segment was pretty dope. Do you think Willa Yuta is serious about being on Danielson's side?
Yeah. He did he had a match on Collision because they actually had to defend the trios championship. I forget against
Yeah.
who, but during the match, Wheeler was doing great character work. He was refusing to tag in, and it was packing, Castagnoli in there. And eventually, the tension built, and Claudio like slapped his chest to tag him in. And the story that was being told is that he ended up doing the cattle mutilation and like German suplex the shit out of these guys, where it was way more vicious than it needed to be. And the they rung the bell and he was still hanging on. So he was like basically letting out his frustration on these poor enhancement talents because he can't do it to his teammates, right? So he's just like letting his frustration out. So I think that's my context for why I believe him. He hasn't seen Danielson since then, so this is his first time actually seeing him coming to save him. So
I'm not doubting this character. I'm just curious. I'm like, just
mhm.
not too familiar with these, especially on the AEW side. So just more so curious to see if this might be something I should be. Am I reading too much into it or not? So it seems I'm reading too much into it.
Yeah.
I'll go with my other primo. I really like the
Mhm.
Hangman Page Juice Robinson fight. I thought it was a really dope match. I'm blanking right now because the cold is getting to me. But overall, I thought it was a great match. I'm trying to think about what happened to it, so I'll let you talk about it.
Hangman, yeah, Hangman did the Hangman spot. He took his belt off like near the end, and he started strangling him, like hanging him
Yeah,
over the rope. So that's when he got like hella boos and everything, because that was after the match and after he actually beat him with the buckshot. And at this point, Hangman's gone crazy ever since like Swerve broke his psyche. So he was just beating the shit out of Hangman, and that's when Jay White comes down for the save, and I hear the switchblade, ching, and I'm like, oh
yeah,
shit, Jay White's back because he's been out with injury. So uh, that was great. Even he had a little promo. I think it was only like 2 minutes long, backstage, and I really liked it. I'm not gonna over exaggerate because I can't think of like a lot of Jay White promos that I like, but immediately I just thought he sounded so sing-songy, like almost like he was clearly freestyling the promo. It was off the top of the dome, but it almost had a bounce to it, like where
yeah,
I was just like, ooh, what you say? Okay. He's like, I don't care who hurt you. I don't care how much you hurt. I don't care why you bleed. I don't care. I was just like, ooh, okay. So that pushed it over the top for me too. I like Switchblade for sure. Like Bang Bang Gang when they were like unified trios, like they were real over with me. So I'm glad he's back. My primo, or sorry, did you have more for that?
no, no, that's good.
Yeah. I know you wanted to pass the assist to me, but for my primo, I had the Osprey Ricochet 2 for the international title, which yep, it was great. Like the double springboard, everything's like, but I did not see coming was a double pinfall. I thought it was interesting that because near the end of the match, for honestly, I forget exactly which finisher is done. I believe it's just another hidden blade because Will Ospreay's hidden blade, just that running back elbow that can come out of like so quickly, and he uses it as a counter also, and he'll knock out people with it. And that's exactly what happens. Ricochet hits Will with it, then Will, being the champion, he just spams his hidden blade. He's like, "You use my move against me. Here you go." So they're both knocked out, and then you see uh, Ricochet as he's down. Will's shoulders are still in the mat, so he puts his hand on his chest, even though he's knocked out. So it's a double pinfall draw. And I was just like, okay, because we can do this whole like I can't beat you, you can't beat me thing.
Yeah,
But as we uh come to find out, it's not about that because Takeshita comes down and he's like, I want the international title. And he interrupts the match after it's restarted because both men agreed to restart it because they're both faces. They want that shit. But Takeshita came down and interrupts it. And I did have a thought of knocking it down only because I feel like it was a lack of possible continuity with Takeshita just because we had that face off with him and Okada already like 2 weeks ago. So I thought he was pointed towards Continental title. So maybe clearly something changed with him. I just wish we'd have got some explanation. Maybe we'll get it later. But that was slightly that also that didn't track for me because it's like, all right, yeah, we just saw him facing Continental, so that wasn't foreseen at all by me.
yeah, yeah. I had this in my mid rising, just for the fact that it was a teaser. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
Like, this is TV. It's the same thing I said about the Julia and Roxanne Perez, is that this is TV. We're not gonna give you the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mhm,
so Ricochet and Osprey, they kind of just went out there and they did the things that you expect them to do. Clever with the count double pinfall. I thought that was a clever angle to the match. I like restarting it, and then we get to what we get, a DQ. And so
mhm.
again, it's kind of what you expect for a TV show, regardless if it's the 50th anniversary. It's still free TV.
Yeah.
And so if you want the full experience, you gotta pay up. So
Hey,
for
listen,
that,
it was still
I mean,
primo for me.
I
So
mean, no,
that's
again,
that's
like
the yeah.
again, AEW gets slighted with the well, again. I it's scaled differently because again, they are naturally just all good at doing what they do. This is like
Mhm,
sleep to them. Like some of they probably just did in New Japan, and they're like, we're just gonna run it back real quick. We'll
Yeah, yeah,
probably sequence it differently, but we'll do similar things. Like the whole backflip thing and them landing like superheroes, like they've done that.
yeah.
So and that also is again, I don't mind the flippy dippy shit, but sometimes the flippy dippy shit is a little too choreographed. And it's
Yeah.
like
And the
we just here just doing gymnastics. And it's like,
yeah.
we not here for gymnastics. We here to wrestle, bro.
Yeah, the funny thing is to me is that like this absolutely worked for me. What I said, the double pinfall, the you can't beat me and all that stuff. Just because, yeah, I don't imagine Osprey losing this match. I mean, he could have. It would have been believable if he just beats Ricochet. However, he beat Ricochet already in a title defense. So I was like, okay, it didn't make sense for there to be an interference. The only problem that I thought was confusing was it being Takeshita, but it great for what it was in ring. That's all I had for that. My mid rising skyrocketing is MVP's debut and debuting his associate Shelton Benjamin. They want to do business with Mercedes Moné.
I had that as I got that like mid rising. Yeah. Yeah, I'll give that. I like the Shelton, is around too. Obviously, a lot of this we already kind of knew and expected. You know, we'll kind of just spoil it ahead already because it's for we have it announced on Thursday. But Bobby Lashley has officially signed to AEW,
Hmm.
as it hasn't already been clear with MVP and Shelton Benjamin on TV that the Hurt Business looks like is about to be back in business. Now I'm curious to see. So MVP says he is not head of complaints. What is he the head of?
Oh yeah, I forgot, but yeah, Shelton is the head. He's the head of the
Nelson's the head of
complaints
complaints.
department. Yeah,
So
that's
like,
right.
is Bobby the CEO? And if he's a CEO, then like Mercedes is the CEO. Like, this is where I'm like,
Yeah,
what is happening? Like, we need to figure what's Bobby's title. So that's where I'm. It's interesting.
yeah. If they go with that whole business, yeah, because he is heavy on the business angle of it. If he's trying to be
Yeah,
like given titles and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there can only be one CEO, you'd imagine, but
exactly.
uh,
So Bobby
uh,
Lashley versus Mercedes Moné for the TBS
yeah, exactly.
championship.
Yo, write it up now. Write it up. Sasha, hey, Mercedes winning that match, by the way. She's
Is
winning
she?
that. Yeah,
Is
she's
she?
winning that match. Absolutely. All you it takes will Lord, what's her muscle's name? Forgive me. But yeah, like homegirl can hit Bobby with a power bomb or some shit. There you go.
Oh, Carmen, not Carmen. I'm blanking as well.
But yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine. But yeah, that was in my mid. I like the aspect. 'Cause I don't believe that there will be like a storyline there. I think it's just the interesting interaction for now because those characters are so
yeah,
dynamic. So
and
I like to see that in the
They
future
have
though.
connection as well, obviously, because they're
Yeah,
WWE or they've been in the WWE.
yeah,
Let's get to our shake. I have one, and it seems like Willow versus Mariah May is on deck.
yeah. Yeah, that was Willow came in there for the save when she was beating down Yuka Sakazaki last week. And I like that. I like that lineup because it's believable. Like Mariah May, she even as champion, I don't know if she's over as Willow, and I believe that. So it's like that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility of this just being a short reign, and this being a case of like, all right, Mariah May's championship reign was kind of the result of like, obviously I called it, the best AEW women's storyline they've done so far, but it's like, all right, you caught the butterfly. What are you doing with it now? And it's like, they kind of dropped the ball, maybe. But it's like if you give it to Willow, hey, the sky's the limit, right? Like everybody loves Willow right now. She can do no wrong. A whole bunch of stories to be written with her, with a title belt, people coming after her and being a fighting champion. So I'd like to see that also.
It could also give Mariah. Willow could also give Mariah another opportunity to just build character for Mariah as a champion.
True.
Because I feel like Willow is kind of like in that lane of like Rey Mysterio, or like
Mhm.
just like
Eternal Face.
yeah, it's like
Yeah, yeah,
it's easy to get heat and build a heel with using Willow. So I could see
yeah.
Mariah May. Unfortunately, as much as I want Willow to win it, I could see Mariah May coming out at the end on this on top.
Hmm. It could end up being
Um,
this could just be the first of a series, like
yeah, maybe.
first, second, and then there's a rubber match, and then Willow finally gets over. So, for my shake, I got the goat, my goat, Chris Jericho. He had some TV time, uh, and called out Mark Briscoe for a Ring of Honor championship match, which I really enjoyed. I always enjoy, Mark Briscoe's energy and stuff like that. So he put Chris Jericho over. Not that you need to. We all know who he is. He's one of the best of all time. But apparently, it was in a while they were on tour, one of their house shows that they had. Chris Jericho beat. He beat Mark Briscoe in a title eliminator. So that's why he has this match. My other shake is Darby Allin's promo. Like, he's sad. He's in the woods. I assume somewhere
Yeah,
outside of Seattle, and pretty upset about how he lost his title opportunity to Moxley, but I guess he's going to take his anger out on somebody else because he's issuing an open challenge. I don't have any thoughts on it, but I did think it was intriguing. Um, Open challenge. That's always. I think that's like when I hear open challenge, I always think that's like 30% chance of like surprise debut or supposed to be. You know what I mean? Because if you got like a situation like Cena when he's in the middle of his uh US title defense and he's just doing that every single week. And then this
yeah.
leads into a moment this week, we'll get to a book of wrestling. But Carlito, surprise. I don't know who he is. We said this before. It's like I didn't know that he was part of a famous wrestling family, but yep.
Yeah.
Surprise debut, bang. US champ. I'm like, what? All right. So
I
it
could see
could be
Bobby
anybody. I
debuting.
don't think Bobby? Oh yeah. Oh, that's good business. Hey, that's real good business. It's like for Bobby's first match to be him versus Darby Allin, he'll snap Darby in half.
Exactly.
Jesus.
It's perfect. You got to crash test dummy. Just
Yeah.
toss him around.
Hmm. That would be nice because like the Hurt Syndicate, which I think they're gonna be called, is like obviously a heel group due to MVP. Sports would just be simply like we do good business. I only make good investments. And I've been telling you about that show Industry you need to watch, all about that high millions of dollars bankings and shit. They be talking about all that, investment language and shit. That's like, yep, I understand exactly where MVP is coming from. If that just means you got to be the bad guy and just rip the poor little 120-pound Darby Allin's pockets, then you got to run those pockets, bro. Like, we just going to
It
keep
was an
doing
open
this.
challenge.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's easy money. That's a good investment. So
Let's
that's it for
move
me.
on to
Yeah.
Thursday. And before we get to the book of wrestling, there was some news to come out that the 2025 Elimination Chamber will be in the UK. Where in
Mm.
the UK specifically is not determined yet. They're saying it's either between Manchester and Birmingham, but it says it will be in the UK. And just calling out, yeah, that's just means we'll just be up early at whatever time that is, 6 hours ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just glad that the frequency that they're doing this, all the more times that I hear that they're international, I'm like, all right, well, that's more times for us to like do that international bros trip that we know, my wife don't
Yeah,
want to
it
come
seems
on.
like Elimination Chamber, Backlash are definitely going to be international pay per views.
You want to ever go to the uh great liberal city of what is it, Riyadh? The progressive
Nah,
city of Riyadh for Crown Jewel, one of those.
no, we're not even allowed to get tickets to those, man. Those
Oh
are
yeah,
those are
that's right.
private events.
Oh okay, yeah, that's right.
I assume.
Yeah,
Uh, no, the best one would probably be right now. It seems like from location is Backlash, right? It's like they went to France and
they went to
France
France, yeah, and Puerto Rico.
and Puerto Rico. So
Yeah,
right now, Backlash is looking like the pay per view to go
yeah,
international for. But that's dope. And then what? Elimination Chamber was in Australia.
yeah. That was in Australia this year. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just thinking that was in Perth. That's right.
yeah. So fun, fun, fun. More traveling. Not for us, but maybe one day. But
Exactly.
nonetheless,
Hey, we'll get there. But
let's get to the book of wrestling.
yeah, this will be a short edition.
For Raw. But I'll let you get the yours.
Okay. Mine was. Oh yeah, two were put up here. I actually offhandedly said this already, but Carlito debuting and winning the U.S. title from John Cena. That happened today, back in 2004. So 20 years to the day today. I watched that episode of television and had no idea who Carlito Caribbean Cool was. And
Yeah,
then,
same here.
fast forward 19 years later, and he's absolutely shredded and coming back for the save as part of LWO and Backlash. Like, awesome.
Yep.
Like, great pop, huge pop.
Now he's just a funny guy on the Judgment
Yeah.
Day.
Ain't
Still
nothing wrong
cool.
with that. Hey, it's
Still
still cool.
Caribbean cool, man.
He's still cool. Exactly. Yeah, take
His
the other one.
his theme song goes too. It pops up on my shuffle sometimes on YouTube Music.
Mhm.
It's so good. And then there's like a little there's a woman in the background. She just says Carlito, 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 Carlito.
What, the new
It's
one? His new music?
no, I'm talking his OG
Oh,
one.
okay.
Like
I was about to
it's
say.
like I spit in the face of people that don't want to be
People who don't
cool.
want to be
And
cool.
then if you listen to it, yeah, there's a
Yeah,
woman in the background that says Carlito, Carlito,
yeah.
Carlito, Carlito. It's so good. It's so good. I'll add mine. Because it fits in, I guess, from a date wise perspective. But October 4th, 2019
Mhm.
was the first episode of SmackDown on Fox, in which was also the end of Kofi Mania when Brock Lesnar beat Kofi Kingston in the main event of SmackDown that night in about 7 to
7
15 seconds
seconds. 7 seconds. Yeah.
with the automatic F5. And that
Yeah.
was it.
They just
And
had to
then
do
we
our guy
get
like that. It's crazy. It's
then
crazy they had
what
to
we
do him
get
like
like
that.
Tito Ortiz or whoever, some MMA fighter that didn't end up fighting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Cain Velasquez.
yeah, Cain Velasquez. So disappointing.
Awful.
And
Terrible.
it's easy to blame Vince, which you could definitely blame Vince because obviously he owns control creative at the time. Um, but they made a good point because I remember they brought this up on Wednesday Worldwide on their history recall. Um, this was the first sign of like Fox having their
Mhm.
hand in the show because it was like, yeah, Brock Lesnar was the champ. Like that was the champ that they saw that they
Yeah.
wanted to have, and Kofi Kingston didn't fit that. And again, go back to Kofi and Xavier, bro. Like, don't you feel some type of way about that?
Mhm.
You just happy to be yeah, we just happy to be here. So, not to drag us
That's it.
back to Monday, just calling out history that seems to be relevant today.
Yeah. I hear you with that for sure. You would think it would have bothered him more, but yeah, he F5'd him right back to the mid card the way that Fox wanted.
He was like, "Yes, sir."
uh, the other book of wrestling entry I had was October 3rd, 2005. Raw returning to the USA Network, which I felt like this was very apropos just because we're in all of these, ownership shakeup slash streaming platform mix up, stuff. So
Mhm.
Monday Night Raw returned to its original home, USA Network, after 5 years of broadcasting on Spike TV. You remember that? I remember Stripperella with Pam Anderson. I remember that being on there. Uh, it was one of the first or it was the first ever 3-hour Raw and had a triple threat main event. Edge defeating Matt Hardy to retain his Money in the Bank contract in a ladder match. Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels fought to a 2-2 draw in a 30-minute Iron Man match. And in the night's last match, John Cena defeated Eric Bischoff in a no DQ WWE Championship match. And just reading those last three, I was just like, Eric Bischoff challenged for the, for the championship. Like, man, we be
Yeah,
getting
man.
into some weird shit. Yeah,
It was
it's. I'm just
heel
trying to remember,
GM.
like, what was that storyline? But yeah, obviously, yeah, you can always just use that as a crutch. Heel GM, like, you don't deserve
Yeah,
it, whatever. But
and
yeah, I just thought that
you
was
just totally
interesting.
ignored TNN. I remember TNN. I never watched it outside of
Barely.
wrestling.
Exactly. So you remember, yeah, I would just remember the logo. That's it. It was black, red, and white. I just remember that.
They stay. I mean, USA always used to have Walker Texas Ranger as well. Always appear
Hmm.
after Monday Night Raw, but TNN was another channel that had Walker Texas Ranger on for life. Like, it was all that was all they showed. That was dope. But yeah, now after what was that 2005?
Yep.
So 19 years later,
Yep. It's taking us that long. So getting over to
they end
Netflix
up
next year.
they end up 20 years later, I guess they'll
Yep.
end up leaving. Yeah,
You can always
crazy.
call it that because year to year, because it'll be 2025. They're actually on there, even though it's gonna be
Yeah,
exactly 20, but whatever. Call it 20 years.
yeah. All right, let's get over to Friday. Before we get to the boutique, I saw this. Cody's thoughts on the support that he gets from black people. Um, and so he was asked this question from Billboard, and I'll read the quote. Cody was asked about the love he has received from black community in the new interview with Billboard. He says, "quote I'm always so careful about how I answer because the truth is I don't know. I don't know. I just want to do all I can to keep going. There's such an honor. I know some memes are meant to be funny, and I seen the name and all the stuff, but that was my dad's biggest fan base. I can see things like Southern Baptist Church and things that connect the tissues. With me, I'm not so much sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure so much, but I don't want to do anything to disrespect it or lose it. But not any because not only do they do the fun stuff online, the community has been really active in arenas as part of the journey. I don't get WrestleMania 40 without that group of fans. I'm touched just hearing it. I do try to do everything that I can not to screw it up. My shoot response to this is great by Cody. This is, awesome. Um, he seems like a really genuine, nice person. You know what I'm saying? Like, he seems very grounded. He doesn't seem like he's like caught up in like, yeah, again, like, I think that's just the day and age of just wrestlers in general. It's just like
Yeah.
people are just super normal. And but yeah, kayfabe, he's covering his bases.
Yeah. When I
He's
saw you post
covering.
that, in the Notion, I was like, I already know where this is going. I know where this is
You
going
gotta
for
keep the
sure.
juju going. You gotta keep he felt it. He felt it. That's why. He's like, yeah, I
Mhm.
bet you he fed the Billboard reporter this question just so he could say this. He felt the juju coming. He felt the juju coming. So, uh, yeah, Cody, you ain't slick. You ain't
Not in the
slick.
slightest. You
We
ain't fooling
we
us.
we
Not
we
us.
said
We
it when
see
we
through
said
it.
it. We said it when we started this that it was gonna be hard. It wasn't gonna be easy as we got Tiffany. But we knew that we had to keep throwing it into the ether, putting the juju out there. You felt that juju was right there on your
Mhm.
tail, and you did something about it. You ain't
Ooh,
slick,
excuse
Cody.
me.
Bless you. You ain't slick.
Thank you.
You ain't slick, Cody. We see you. We know it's
Not
coming.
now, yeah. So we laser focused on them. If anything, we're definitely gonna set that timer back at least 2 months or whatever, or just look back and like we might have said that
Yeah,
episode one. Did we like put an emphasis on that episode one? If not, that's proof
yeah.
for
You the
sure.
historian. You the historian.
All right, let's
You
get
supposed
over
to
to
keep track of this.
SmackDown.
The-
SmackDown tonight.
I, I tried to do everything I can to not screw that up. Okay, Cody.
Yeah, we'll see.
No, okay. Let's get to the booth seat.
Yeah, for me,
Uh, Yeah. This is the last show before Black Blood. Go ahead.
Hmm. Uh, I saw the highlights. Obviously, we're recording this right after SmackDown, so I wasn't able to see the full match of the triple threat tag team title match. But I would have that. I'm not sure what I would have that incomplete right now. I guess mids, but I'll start with the primo. I don't know if you had that in primo. That's the only thing. You want to start with the higher quality shit. Then you want to start
Why'd
with.
you just start with your stuff?
Yeah,
Why did
I'm just saying.
you just see
But
that?
but Bailey and Nia, that promo. Tiffany slips up and called her Pam, which I was sure that I caught that, and of course, immediately I googled it. I was like, wait, what's Bailey's name? Yep, Pamela. Okay, yeah, so broke the kayfabe for a bit, but I don't think that's cute because it's like we always say, it's like, yeah, they're clearly coworkers, but you want to believe that they're friends and they get along. So it's like even
Yeah.
just hearing that in kayfabe, it's like, oh, this person better than all of us, the fans. You know what I mean? But just Bailey, using her silver tongue to like drive a little bit more of a wedge. Because whereas I'm done with the CM Punk and Drew build, obviously this build is nowhere close to that. We just had Bailey qualify last week officially for this title shot. So it doesn't feel overdone to me, which is why I have it up here in Primo, because they both are great. They both can go. I've loved them since NXT. And it just puts this promo, I think also why it's in primo is that just Bailey's part of it really did like put the most doubt in my mind that Tiffany would cash in like specifically tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I believe that yet, but we'll get to the bad blood predictions in a second. But yeah, that was the best thing that I saw on the show.
Yeah, I mean, this was really good. I'll keep it as for shake because again, for me, it was more so I'm just trying to get to the match,
Hmm.
not in anything personal or anything like that. But I do think I'm more curious to see how things kind of shake out with more Naomi in this point with Bailey because I do think there's some interesting things that is happening there that maybe I might have in my prediction for Bad Blood. So keep that maybe in my back pocket. Or maybe not at Bad Blood, but I do think there's something coming up with Naomi because there was interactions with them before Bailey came out for the promo.
Hmm.
Like Bianca, Naomi, and Jade, they were all kind of like dancing. They were doing an A-Town stomp. And then Bailey comes out of nowhere trying to do it with them, and then it was just like awkward. And then Naomi was having a conversation with Bailey, and then she kind of like tapped her on the shoulder, but it was like really hard. So it's just some
Hmm.
weird things going on with like Naomi and Bailey that I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if I feel good about Bailey's chances tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's that. I'll leave that there. I'll leave that there. Um, I will go with my promo though, and it was the ladder match.
Yeah. Okay.
Primo, it was the ladder match. Um, the bloodline retained, but the way it was done was pretty well done. Even though like the bloodline did kind of recover really quickly, they got put through tables on the outside by DIY and the Street Profits. Montez
Yeah.
frog splashed, and then they
They
power
teamworked
bombed.
him.
Yeah, they power bombed Tama, Tom, one of the other Loas on through the announce table, and then
Tamatonga and Tonga Loa. Yeah.
yeah, but then obviously DIY and Street Profits, they were both climbing up the ladders and they eventually knocked themselves out to allow for the bloodline to climb up and retain. So overall, it was a great match. They did their thing. There was some spots. I definitely thought that maybe there might be a title switch that could happen, but uh overall, all in all, it was still a great match for what they put out. So that was my primo.
I will say, steal a bit from the rewatchables right here. Apex Mountain, Tonga Loa. I did see the spot like you said at the end of the match. I saw the very ending, and it's him and he lifts up the ladder while they're on
Yeah,
it for them to fall through the ladder in the corner. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's literally the most useful thing he's done the entire run so far since we've seen him. That's literally the best spot that he and to help retain the title. So Apex Mountain for him. I
Yeah.
noticed. Uh,
Um, Go ahead.
no. I was gonna say for the mids, I didn't have anything else to say about the match, the triple threat match. But for the mids, I had Carmelo interrupting AJ Styles when AJ just returns.
Hmm.
You miss AJ?
Yeah, I was wondering where's AJ been at.
Okay, I was just wondering
But
because
again, like I
obviously it
think
hasn't.
AJ can have the same thing as Miz. It's like, bro, we talked about this with AJ. It's like, you know, you just happen to be here. Like again, like he trying to win a championship, but we also know AJ's like on his last contract. So
Hmm.
I don't like, I'm like, where's Shinsuke? I'm like, yo,
Really,
these dudes like should be like
I ain't seen
some of these
Shinsuke in
dudes should
forever.
not be like, not just be here to be happy and just be a spot. Like we gotta build these ranks up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say when Carmelo came to interrupt AJ, immediately I was like, "Oh hell yeah!" Because I was like, "This is like one of those dream match scenarios where it's like this is AJ versus younger AJ, younger black AJ." You know what I mean? Like even their builds and everything. So I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be great." Uh, I did like because that's a kayfabe injury, right? Kayfabe knee injury. He's
I
fine,
think
right?
so. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Okay. In that case,
It
yeah, that
did.
was
It
confusing
did
to me
look
because I
good.
was
The
like,
way they
it
recorded it,
looked good.
it looked like it was legit, but I don't know. I mean, they showed more of it afterwards, and I'm like, okay, this seems like it's more of a work than a
Yeah.
shoot.
Yeah, they filmed it real good, and that's why I wasn't so sure about it, especially for it to be a rare win by by injury. You know what I mean? So, um, but yeah, the match was good while it lasted, but I just thought that was kind of that took away from it that like it wasn't just a. I guess that's the way you protect AJ, but it's like he
Yeah,
just came back, so is he going on the shelf again immediately? Or are we gonna see him taped up with a knee next week or some shit? You know, that's the only thing that took it away from me. But
I
I,
guess Carmelo, old timer. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mhm,
that's what Carmelo's thing is like. You old, you washed.
yeah.
Put the fries in the bag, bro. All that shit. So
You're right. No, that's real shit. He did say that to Andrade. That's savage. But yeah, I
so
guess LA Knight didn't like the how disrespectful Carmelo was being after the match. Like, yeah, I'm the shit. So he just gives him a BFT for good measure.
yeah,
Like, yeah, you want this title, come get it type shit. So that's
I
what's up.
think anybody can get a BFT if they want it. Like
Yeah,
it's like
honestly.
a stunner. It's pretty much a stunner. So
Hmm.
um, I had that in my primo as well. I mean, not primo, my bids as well. I enjoyed it, but I'm curious to see how that plays out for AJ.
Yeah,
Um, I also agree with you on the Meechin and Chelsea Green dumpster match. I really enjoyed that. Again, a lot of it comes down to just like the people in the match as well. I think they both do a good job, especially Chelsea in the match of just being Chelsea. So
absolutely.
overall, I love the power bomb spot to end it too.
Ooh, I
That
was
was
so
dope.
scared just because obviously,
You have
like
to
we
clear
know,
it.
like yeah, you just gotta clear it, and it's just the dumpster. We've seen those big green dumpsters in the city, and it's like, bro, those are metal. So I was just, but yeah, it was clear, it was fine, but I was just like, all right, yeah, she was a good like foot from that thing. Well, not even close, but yeah, through a table into the dumpster.
Yeah.
Meechin is able to get up and close it. And then just a great shot of like that's like the ending of a sitcom. You know, when the mean girl gets her comeuppance, clearly she's like covered in like food
It's
fight
funny
stuff.
because like,
Like
how did Michin? I was thinking, like, how did Michin come out of that clean?
clean. That's what I'm telling her. She got dumped in there literally like right after a Canadian destroyer and got
Yeah.
you were fine. All right, cool. Whatever.
She
But
poured all that shit on herself. That's hilarious.
mm, you know
Um,
that's what happened too. She just had to be in there. She was in there like Gollum, like just throwing, just doing this, like ripping the bags open. Oh
um,
man,
anything else that stood out from SmackDown?
I can't say so. Um, but I think that's enough. Like, so we covered the title because they did run just like another reminder type vignette of just Cody and Romo versus I said Romo, Cody and Roman versus the Bloodline. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think that was about it as far as the action.
trying to see if there was anything we missed. Uh, Yeah, we did have Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton, and then Naomi won that one as well. So,
Mm.
and yeah, that was pretty much it. So, yeah, we can move over to Saturday and get to our bad blood predictions. And we got a match card of 5. I'm
Tight.
currently 0-5 on our total record on prediction guesses, and you are currently perfect 5-0. But I guess that's how it works out when we could have ties technically,
Yeah.
but we haven't had a tie yet. So 0-5 versus 5-0. I'm looking to get my first win. All right. The Hell in a Cell match is not going to be first. I don't imagine. So we'll probably move that to the bottom.
Oh
Just
yeah,
for
that was me coming up with the matches off the top of my head as I was putting it together.
well, if we don't know what they are officially, let me bring up the official one. You could just go to Wikipedia.
Hmm.
You're like, He's like, oh,
I think I'm pretty sure.
well, let's just go ahead.
Well, no, you want to do it in order? Go ahead. What's the first match?
I'm just putting CM Punk and Drew McIntyre last, just because that's probably gonna be last. But
Okay.
we know the bloodline, and we have some idea of what the match is gonna be like.
Mm.
So, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, who you got?
I think I think Finn needs it more.
Same.
They did just win, like, the tag match, the mixed tag match, the Terror Twins.
Mhm.
But that also wasn't Finn. That was Dominic. You know what I'm saying? Because this is like different bad blood, hence the pay-per-view. Like that, this storyline has been like seething for a while, even when Damian was champion. So that's why I'm going with Finn.
I'm gonna go with Finn as well, just because I think he needs the win. It does him better for him, and I think I mean, what would be the point of Finn losing to Damien? Like, how does that
Yeah.
play out in the long term? It
Hmm.
doesn't really make sense. So it keeps Finn honest to his word, and it gets him possibly up. Again, we talked about needing to just build up, just like the contendership bracket.
Yeah.
Not even brackets. I don't want to get into the tournaments, but just the pool of talent that we consider contenders. I think Finn's name should be back up there as well. You know what I'm saying? So I think Finn Balor gets the win as well. So we agree on this
Yeah.
match. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley in Dirty Dom in a shark cage match.
So my one thought is, because stipulations are what they say they are, like clearly like a shark cage match. That does not mean that this is no DQ, right? I was thinking about that.
I imagine the match is
I think
standard.
it's a normal match. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
standard match, right? Okay, I'm just making that clear because in my mind that's how it worked in
I'm
my head.
assuming.
So
Yeah, I'm
yeah, I'm
assuming.
assuming it's also a normal standard match. So there would be DQ still. But even with that, I would still have Rhea winning. I think this is where it's been leading us. I don't know how much longer. Uh, I mean, you can stretch the revenge tour, I guess, but she already has everything from like a live perspective, and Rhea is justified in the sense that like she said that she never lost it, but she did lose it when she challenged Liv last time. So she's getting a new championship back. This will be a new Rhea going forward because I think she'll close the book, hopefully, on Liv Morgan, unless she's messing with her. So
Yeah, part of me, I'm kind of split on this because part of me, I'm like, again, same reasoning as to Rhea Finn. I mean, with Finn, like Liv holding the title a little longer is not bad. Like she just won it, what, like SummerSlam?
yeah,
So she's only held it for like 2 months.
Something like
Or
that.
has it been longer? Like, well, again, so that's where I could see a scenario in which obviously Dom escapes and somehow ends up, helping Liv retain.
Of course.
Um, or maybe he ends up dropping something from above.
I think that's a guarantee. He's definitely dropping something. It's a matter of who gets it. That's the question right there.
Um, but she's been champion. I'm trying to figure out how long when she's been champion. Yeah, she wanted. Oh, she wanted in May.
Yeah, May 25th,
Yeah.
King and Queen of the Ring.
All right.
But
So
yeah,
that's about.
but she beat Rhea already at SummerSlam. That was her retaining against that initial Rev
Yeah.
back.
So
Yeah. So she beat her already.
yeah, my other thought was that Damien from losing earlier in the night is gonna come and help Rhea, his Terror twin. So
Hmm.
I go Rhea.
All right,
Nia
Nia Jax
Bailey.
and Bailey. I got
I'm
Queen Nia
going Nia
still.
Jax.
I got Queen Nia still. At least as far as like a tight match, Bailey is a face. She's not gonna ask for any help. Whether Tiffany pulls the trigger or not is up to her. So this is just the match itself. Because I mean, there is also a scenario where she cashes it in and she makes herself a third. You know, we've seen that before. Clearly, WrestleMania,
Yeah.
Seth Rollins, all that stuff. So, at the risk of like just putting that off to the side, just calling it a clean match, Nia Jax.
Yeah, I got Nia. I think there's gonna be obviously Tiffany shenanigans kind of going on, but I think Nia wins this clean, um, to a degree. And then I think the outcome is again like Bailey wondering where was Naomi?
Mm.
I thought we
Because
were
she knew she
friends.
needed help.
I thought,
Yeah,
I thought you had my back.
yeah,
And like maybe like Naomi is like, yo, like we cool, but like we like work cool.
yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we ain't cool. And that's Cuzzo. You know what I'm saying? Like that well, that's Gus cousin in law or whatever Naya is, but they don't acknowledge it, which is weird to me.
Yeah,
It's just like
they
y'all
just yeah,
related. Just
just say
okay.
it. Y'all are definitely family.
The bloodline versus did you come up with the original nightmares or that was
Yeah, I
like
just
all the
came up with
blood?
that. No, I just came up with that
Cody
because I
and
was
Roman.
like, yeah, Cody and Roman. But I was just like, the American Nightmare, original tribal. Oh, so, okay, this is easy to put together because the other option is the American Chiefs, and I was like, nah, that sounds like the Kansas City Chiefs. So, I got the bloodline here. What about you? What say you? I think this is. I'll just tell you where my head was. Because the thought is like, what's the story, right? Because like you got multiple ways of this is going to end in a pinfall. There's no submissions in between any four of these guys, so somebody's shoulders are gonna be on the mat. Cody pinning Jacob. Does that do anything for you? Probably not at this point in time. Cody pinning Solo. Probably not. He's already beat him before in a title match. That leads me to believe Roman is going to be involved in the pinfall. And I think this is just because I would like to see. I think this is the most far out of it. I don't know if I would say that. No, I don't think this is going to happen. But what my heart wants is for Jacob to pin Roman because I think that puts him at a dangerousness level, like on tier. Clearly, like they've been like kind of tempering him down as far as like standing next to Solo because Jacob's work is fucking phenomenal.
Mhm.
And I think you could tell a nuanced, deeper story with like that fraction of bloodline or that fracture between the bloodline of like Jacob, getting more and more adulation, or like more big in the head. He gets more ego because he's like, hold on a second, I'm doing all the fucking work here. I pinned Roman. You know what I'm saying? Some shit like that. And how you feel about a Ulafala triple threat match with Jacob in there? We think it was gonna be Solo and Roman 1-on-1, but I'm not making that match. I just made that up just now, but I just think it's more interesting with the bloodline winning.
Yeah.
And I don't see Solo pinning Roman either. I don't see that. I think if he does, it would be a situation where like he's yelling at, just like how Solo was yelling at Roman at WrestleMania. I think this would be the same thing. Like get Jacob Fatu, like he's the fresh one, and he's like finish it, and he's got Roman,
Yeah.
and he's got to fucking be the one to do it. So that's kind of my thought, or where my dream. That's where my dreams went when I was thinking about maybe not so easy booking.
Yeah, this is a difficult one because in one sense I'm like, it's Cody and Roman, right? Like these are your two top guys. Cody's home, Roman's home. You know, you marketed this around them. You know what I'm saying? This is Roman's first match back since WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
For his shoulders to be on the mat, that would be crazy. That's why I was
Um,
just like, yo, that would be stunning.
and then there's the whole aspect of Kevin and Randy,
Mhm.
and everybody's expecting Kevin to turn when really it's probably going to be Randy, if not both of them. But
Yeah. Cody's
uh,
stupid enough to take that handicap match too.
I'm gonna go Cody and Roman.
Nice. It's hard to imagine Roman's shoulders on the mat. I will say that. That's a hurdle you got to get over, because like that's the thing, is like you said, this is his first match back.
Yeah.
So doing that for Jacob, that's putting Jacob like, oh, holy shit. You know what I'm saying?
It
Like
makes
one of
sense for
three
the
guys.
bloodline to win, but I'm like,
And that's what forces him to get the reinforcements. If we think that he's going to go get Jimmy and Jay and Sammy or whoever, the original together, then this is what would start the spiral, so to speak, or possibly, we just spitballing here. We just booking.
yeah,
Lastly, probably the main event, right? That's what I would think.
I would think so.
The
But again, like, who knows? They could probably flip it on the other side.
yeah, Hell in a Cell, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. What's your pick?
Punk.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
Like, if I mean, this has to be the end,
Finally, right?
right? And so if
The
this is
only
the end, like, doesn't it make sense for Punk to come out on top?
Yeah, because also just looking forward, like we know Drew is gonna hold the title again at some point in time, for sure. Like he's just been too great. I think this is the perfect opportunity to boost CM Punk up with another, stamp match. Like he already beat him in the strap. So it's like this was effectively becoming your number one contendership match, I think. And then
Yeah.
just have Gunther power bomb the fuck out of him. Because it just depends on the timing of like, because obviously Seth has an issue with CM Punk, so you still want to see that, but he's going to be dealing with Bronson Reed real quick. We're pretty sure, and Gunther's going to be dealing with Sammy next. So it's like, just if you can line up that timing somehow, I'm sure they could rejigger stuff. But that's what my thought process was. He'll just be the
So
next sacrifice to Gunther's title reign.
see what the next pay per view is. Okay, so we got Halloween Havoc for NXT. That's
Crown Jewel.
Crown Jewel. That's November 2nd.
Yeah.
And then we have Survivor Series War Games. And that is the 30th of November.
So Sammy's on Crown Jewel and CM Punk on War Games on Survivor Series for Gunther. I mean,
War Games
just
is in Canada.
stretch it out that much.
Triple threat.
I mean, we just got triple threat. Yeah, maybe it's just that. But I was just thinking, I'm like, dog, like we just got the Sammy pop. Like you were talking about, they were just in Montreal. So if we're gonna keep on leaning on Sammy like this, that's pretty gross. Just think about it. Like, yeah, we got to stretch this out. Hometown
Maybe it's
pop. But
Kevin. I don't know. Like somebody Canadian, right?
mhm. All right, brother.
Italia. But I don't know.
I'm happy with these predictions. I think you get it this time.
I think you just
Because
gave me one.
did I?
I feel like you gave me one. I feel like you're like, I'm gonna pick Bloodline.
Well, that I explained it already. Like I said,
Yeah,
it's easy to
you
say
gave
that they
one.
win.
I'll take the win. I'm just saying that I'm like, all right. I hope I win. Watch me still
Yeah,
lose.
right. If you lose, that's crazy. Because I'm not saying I gave you one, but kind of. I'll tell you, my better judgment is telling me not to pick them. But we know we
Yeah.
smart. All
um,
right.
let's get into our champions. And you missed one last week, and
So I got two this
I'm
week. Yep.
got two, and I'm sick, so I'm gonna come up with two next week.
That's cool. All right. The first one I got the Aretha Franklin RESPECT title going to Nikki Garcia, formerly Nikki Bella, for getting a restraining order against her husband
Mm,
and just leaving. I know it sounds weird for it being a champion of a week, but I'm putting a positive spin on this where it's like there's no reason for any man to put hands on a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless it's absolutely life and death consequences, like that woman's holding a gun. There's no reason. And the reason I put up RESPECT is like, bruh, like we're not women, but I can only imagine like the victimization feeling. Like my mom is a survivor of domestic abuse.
mm.
So it's like when I hear that, I'm just like, I'm just proud. It's like the same thing with like Cassie in a more extreme sense, you know, and that whole Diddy shit. But it's like if you don't
Yeah.
do anything, then none of these other women are gonna feel proud enough, you know, to do it. Or like, you know, set the example, be brave enough to set the example. So I'm proud of her. And that's why she gets champion of the week. Uh and then to end on a more jovial note, we got the seal, a kiss from a rose on the grave title belt going to Juice Robinson for outkicking his coverage. Do you know who his wife is?
No.
Tony Storm.
Yeah.
And yeah, and just looking once again, I just think even gimmick wise, like appearance at least for their
Yeah.
gimmicks, they're completely fucking opposite. Because like Loose or Juice Robinson and is known as the stray bullet of the Bang Bang Gang, and he just has bad head every day. Doesn't comb his beard. He looks like me. It's me if I'm a white guy and a little bit more muscle, kind of.
Yeah.
And Tony Storm is just the exact opposite. This monochromatic 1930s, you know, Hollywood superstar, like blonde bombshell, always put together. And I'm just like, yo, you look at this guy. Like I even watched the Outkick Your Coverage thing on NFL Films again to make sure I got this right. And Jason Garrett just said it best. And he's like, man, there's certain situations where you're looking at this, you're talking to this woman, and she might be as beautiful and intelligent and caring, and you're just like, wow. And you look at the guy and you're like, yeah, you definitely outkicked your coverage. That's the definition. So it's like when I look at Tony Storm and I look at Juice Robinson, I'm like, this does not compute, bro, like at all. But they love each other, and they're both New Zealanders. So it's like, all right, they're
Okay.
countrymen too. So that makes
I was
sense. They
curious if
probably,
there was anything like that because I was like, it says he was born in uh Illinois, but yeah, obviously he probably has heritage.
yeah. Hmm. But those are my
That's awesome.
champions: Juice Robinson, yep, and Nikki Garcia.
All right. Those are the champions of the week. You will get your belts in about 7 to 10 business years.
Yep, in the
Um,
mail.
let us know. Take a picture of us when you get it and let us know. Because if that happens, that means we made
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, we sitting at 205 right now. This might be a record.
It
Definitely a
might be a
recent
record.
record. A
Definitely a
perfect
recent record.
episode. Perfect episode. You know why it's perfect? Because I'm
That's
ending with
13.
these socials right now. Lucky number 13. Send us an email at thewrestlingreup@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on TikTok. We everywhere. And we will be having a Twitch soon. Co-streaming this bitch. We gonna have some new content for y'all.
Yep.
We gonna have the Patreon library, just everything.
Man.
And I'm out.
And we out. That's it. We done. Peace. Why it's not ending?